Jake Paul said, "My lane helped your lane. I spoke up for you over and over again, no more. Look at yourself in the mirror, God don't like ugly. Maybe the truth is you are a fake holier-than-thou actor when it's always been just about you."
The thing is, this back and forth only makes me want to see the fight more.
It would seem as though you all lose that ability at this moment moving forward unless you try to get that fight.
And Andre Ward being approached about this is very interesting. One, Andre Ward is, in some people's opinion, is the greatest boxer that's ever lived.
Jake Paul reignites chaos online, calling out Francis Ngannou for allegedly dodging their fight. What started as a simple trash talk has now turned into a full-blown Twitter storm, with both men firing shots and fans choosing sides fast. To begin with, after Francis Ngannou dismissed Jake Paul's latest challenge, Jake wasted no time firing back on social media. The YouTuber-turned-boxer took a direct shot at Ngannou's pride, mocking his past boxing performance and questioning his confidence. The post instantly fueled tension between the two heavy hitters, sending fans into a frenzy across platforms. He stated, "Dear Francis, just to say you already got humiliated in boxing and are scared to lose to Jake Paul. Accept that. You're a light work, my friend, stuck in mud." In response, Francis Ngannou didn't hold back, responding to Jake Paul with a warning that instantly grabbed attention online. The former UFC champion reminded Jake to show respect and hinted that his recent behavior toward legends like Mike Tyson crossed the line, making it clear he's not one to be talked down to. He tweeted, "Choose your words wisely, boy. I agree that you need someone to discipline you for what you did to Mike Tyson, but stay in your lane." However, Jake Paul escalated things even further with another fiery tweet aimed directly at Ngannou. He claimed he once supported Francis but accused him of being fake and self-centered. Jake took personal digs at Ngannou's character, urging him to use his platform for something meaningful. The message ended with a bold claim that he'd knock out Francis in boxing while Jon Jones would finish him in MMA. He said, "My lane helped your lane. I spoke up for you over and over again, no more. Look at yourself in the mirror, God don't like ugly. Maybe the truth is you're a fake holier-than-thou actor when it's always been just about you. Maybe use your platform to speak on the youth of your country, boasting a flag ain't it, instead of doing TMZ interviews like a con man to talk about me. Reality check, I sleep you in boxing and Jon Jones does end." Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen praised Jake Paul's ability to stir up storylines, calling the entire situation both entertaining and strategic. He admitted that a Jake Paul versus Francis Ngannou matchup would have been fascinating from a promotional angle. Sonnen also criticized the growing narrative about courage, saying it's unfair to question the bravery of any combat athlete, especially those who step into the ringer cage.
Now that is a good and comical story, and I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. And there's this story going on out there that and it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they're both involve bludgeoning.
In addition, Chael Sonnen added that criticizing a fighter's courage makes little sense, especially in a sport where the only objective is to hit and be hit. He acknowledged how people have constantly moved the goalposts on Jake Paul, first mocking his opponent's backgrounds, then their boxing status or size. Sonnen said he loved the idea of a Jake Paul versus Francis Ngannou fight, believing it would have silenced a lot of that criticism.
You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back. I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you started with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it.
Soon after, Daniel Cormier stepped in, warning that the situation has escalated beyond trash talk and could end badly for challengers. He praised Ngannou's promotional savvy but stressed that playing reckless publicity games leads to dangerous consequences. Cormier insisted Jake Paul isn't ready for a matchup with Ngannou, saying elite heavyweights like Fury or Joshua are the only suitable opponents. He said, "He knows how to market himself, but I'm telling you, you play stupid games, you give stupid prizes, you'll be fighting Francis Ngannou. I don't care what money Jake Paul would have made, he should not be fighting Francis Ngannou. Francis will put him out, "Hey, Big Frank don't know how to play games. Big Frank don't know how to pull his punches. Stay away from Francis Ngannou if you ain't a guy like Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury." At the same time, Chael weighed in on the growing feud, questioning Francis Ngannou's stance and rejecting Jake Paul's offer. He argued that by not pursuing the fight, Ngannou risks losing the moral high ground he claims over Jake. Sonnen also wondered if Francis has any meaningful options lined up, pointing out that his long-teased rivalry with Jon Jones seems to have completely fizzled out.
You got it and you failed to get it, or you just didn't try. If you didn't try to get the fight, it would seem as though you lose that high moral ground of saying that Jake is not real. It would seem like anybody and everybody should have been throwing their hat in that ring. And then let's look at Francis. So Francis says it's disrespectful and it doesn't make sense. What else is there for Francis to do? Like, is there something brewing that I don't know about? Is there other options that I don't know about? Is there another opponent? There seemed to be a level of heat at one point between Francis and Jon Jones, but that feels like it was about 3 years ago and is completely gone.
Elsewhere, Wade Clemens shared that multiple names are being considered as potential replacements, with Nate Diaz and Francis Ngannou reportedly on the list. He explained that MVP Promotions also looked into Ryan Garcia as a possible opponent for Jake Paul, given his star power and recent history with big pay-per-view numbers. Clemens noted that Ryan's experience and fame could make him a strong substitute for Gervonta Tank Davis if the exhibition angle remains in play.
Nate Diaz and Francis Ngannou are also being explored. All right, the interesting part about this is the potential names being used as replacement fighters. We had heard that Ryan Garcia was someone that MVP was going to look to say he might be somebody, and I think they even reached out that he might be someone that could replace Tank Davis. If you were going to stick with the exhibition nature of this, if you were going to go, okay, listen, Tank was a 135-pounder, Ryan's a 147-pounder. We can still justify this exhibition based on weight, but Ryan has more experience. This would be an easy plug and replace. And honestly, if you're talking about star power, Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia had one of the biggest fights in recent boxing memory in 2023, did over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Them together was magic, both of them being a star in their own right.
However, Wade continued by revealing that the Ryan Garcia replacement plan quickly fell through after Oscar De La Hoya rejected the idea. He noted that organizers are now targeting December 12th or 19th for the event, leaving little time to finalize a new opponent. Clemens also mentioned that Andre Ward's name has surfaced in discussions, a surprising twist considering Ward's legendary status and long retirement.
It was an easy replacement, but Oscar De La Hoya said nada. So Ryan Garcia's out. And again, if you're looking to move this date, you move it to December 12th or December 19th. That's still only about 6 weeks away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 5 or 6 weeks away. So it's not like you have a lot of time to really dilly-dally here. If you're really going to try to do this event before the end of the year, which again, according to the Ring Magazine, December 12th and December 19th are dates being explored, you're going to have to get someone that can kind of just turn up and go fight. And Andre Ward being approached about this is very interesting. One, Andre Ward is, in some people's opinion, is the greatest boxer that's ever lived. The actual GOAT. He is at least one of, if not the greatest in recent memory. Obviously fought a lot lighter, but this is again being explored as an exhibition.
Finally, Ariel Helwani shared that the heated online exchange between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou has only heightened his interest in seeing the fight happen. He admitted that while the matchup didn't initially excite him, the recent back and forth completely changed that. Helwani believes a December showdown would make perfect sense for Ngannou, a huge stage, high-profile fight with global attention.
The thing is, this back and forth only makes me want to see the fight more. Like, and now I'm more interested in the fight. I'm more invested in the fight. Like, if they just would have left it to the stuff yesterday, I would have been, all right, let's move on to someone else. But now I'm like, can we actually see this fight in December? Because that would be incredible. I just think the fight makes a lot of sense for Francis. It's a high-profile fight. It's on a massive, the biggest platform in the world.
Moreover, Ariel went on to explain that this matchup could be the perfect storyline for both fighters. He said Francis Ngannou could play the final boss role, the ultimate MMA figure who ends Jake Paul's crossover run with a knockout. Meanwhile, for Jake, it's a legitimate challenge against a younger, bigger, and more battle-tested opponent. Helwani even argued that this fight feels more compelling than a potential Anthony Joshua bout, given the ongoing MMA connection and heated build-up.
You could go out there and be the hero. You could be the last boss. You could be the final boss of this MMA story and end it and knock him out. You're bigger than him. And then for Jake, it makes sense because it's another MMA fighter who's a little younger, who's actually had some fights, who is bigger. Like, there's a real challenge here. It's to me almost like the more interesting challenge than him fighting Anthony Joshua at the moment, because there's a thread. The MMA stuff, now this back and forth. There's no heat between Jake and AJ.
To wrap things up, Ariel Helwani noted that the real tension now exists between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou, two former allies under the PFL banner who have suddenly become rivals. He said, the fallout feels genuine and adds excitement to the potential matchup. Helwani emphasized that if Jake's next fight is going to stream on Netflix, it needs to be a massive, headline-worthy event, and Ngannou fits that bill perfectly.
There's heat now between him and Francis. There's like legit, they were friends, they were aligned, PFL stuff, and now they're foes. I kind of dig it. And we'll get John Martin's thoughts on this. And I know that when Francis does his boxing stuff, he doesn't have to get the PFL's blessing. But I think this fight makes a lot of sense, and I think it would check off a lot of boxes. If you want Jake Paul to fight on Netflix, it has to be a super high-profile fight. And I think that this would be a pretty high-profile fight.
As the dust settles, one thing's clear. This isn't just another online feud, it's a storm waiting to explode inside the ring. Jake Paul has once again turned social media into his battlefield, pushing buttons and rewriting headlines, while Francis Ngannou stands tall, unshaken, and unamused. But let's be honest, if this fight does happen, it's not just about boxing skill or knockout power, it's about pride, ego, and proving who truly runs this crossover combat scene. And with Netflix rumored to back Jake's next event, the stakes couldn't be higher. Imagine the numbers, the excitement, the bad blood, it's everything the sport thrives on. Do you think Francis Ngannou should accept Jake Paul's challenge, or is it a waste of his time? If they fought in boxing, who's walking out on their fate? The problem child or the predator? And tell us this, is Jake Paul being bold or just begging for a beating? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story isn't over yet. The tension's real, the drama's raw, and we'll be here covering every punch, pose, and provocation leading up to fight night.